You know how people fall in love with roller coasters and whatnot? At least the roller coaster is like an inanimate object but alive. The Titanic is like even dead by inanimate object standards. Titanic sub, more noises heard in search areas, says U.S. Coast Guard, amid huge effort to bring crew home. We'll do that. We're gonna cover this. We're gonna cover this drama here.
It is another mystery of the deep. As hopes fade for the 5 wealthy Titanic tourists who vanished while exploring the wreck aboard a mini submarine, one question keeps arising: what happened? It is possible that no one will ever know after the sub, called Titan, suddenly went silent hundreds of miles off the coast of Canada and around 13,000 feet underwater beside the Titanic. On board was a British billionaire, one of Pakistan's richest men and his son, a famed French explorer, and the CEO of the company running the dive. They began their voyage early Sunday with 96 hours of oxygen inside the sub and have not been heard from since. Submarine experts agree that 5 possible accidents are the most likely cause. Perhaps the most obvious explanation is that the submersible became tangled in the wreckage of the Titanic itself. The ship split into 2 pieces as it sank back in 1912, and those sections now lie amidst a huge debris field on the seabed. Navigating the wreck is extremely dangerous, according to those who have dived it. It is possible that the sub's pilot got disoriented, perhaps after communications were interrupted, causing the craft to get snagged. Another explorer has described how a sudden undersea current swept his submarine into the wreck, getting it temporarily stuck. Titan is equipped with drop weights, which can be thrown overboard to give it extra buoyancy, potentially freeing it and helping it float to the surface. But if it is stuck, for example, inside the Titanic, there could be little the crew would be able to do except wait for help. A banging noise picked up on sonar could be the trapped crew knocking on the hull of the sub to attract attention, but rescuers have still been unable to find the craft. Titan could also have suffered a power outage or equipment failure. The sub relies on batteries to power the communications, and a failure could explain why it lost contact with the surface. But they also power the engines, the lights, and the heating. A catastrophic failure would have left the sub dead in the water, in complete darkness, and in freezing temperatures. If that is the case, experts say the cold could kill quicker than the lack of oxygen. Questions have been raised over the quality of the sub after one passenger pulled out over fears the company building it were cutting corners. He discovered that scaffolding poles were being used as ballast, and a video game controller was being used for steering. After that, he demanded his money back. An OceanGate engineer also previously quit over safety concerns about the structural integrity of the sub, and an industry body wrote a letter in 2018 criticizing the company's experimental approach. Losing power would make the sub harder to find, and there will still be the matter of getting it back to the surface when its engines aren't working. They may still be able to surface, but there is no sign of the vessel yet. Alistair Grieg, a professor of marine engineering at the University College London, said rescue options will be extremely limited if the sub is without power. Another possibility is that the sub has become tangled on a piece of debris like a fishing net. Thousands of so-called ghost nets are swept around the deep ocean after being lost by trawlermen. Back in 2005, a Russian submersible called AS-28 became tangled on just such a net while it was underwater off the Kamchatka Peninsula in far eastern Siberia. The net got caught in its propellers and caused it to sink to the seabed, with a British underwater drone brought in to cut the netting and free it. All 7 crew members made it safely to the surface 2 days later. But they were stuck under just a few hundred feet of water, compared to the Titan's 13,000. To cut the craft free, rescuers will first have to find it, and sonar is not good at distinguishing the sub from the wreckage of the Titanic scattered around it. And even if it can be cut free, the Titan will still have to make it back to the surface on its own, because transferring the crew to another vessel at that depth is impossible. After the submersible suddenly stopped communicating with no explanation, a catastrophic implosion of the vessel has become a leading theory. G. Michael Harris, an experienced Titanic explorer, fears that is exactly what happened, 10,000 feet down, where the pressure is 350 times greater than at the surface. When a submarine's hull fails at depth, the pressure of the ocean will almost instantly crush it and anyone inside. Even a small fault in the carbon fiber and titanium hull could have caused the accident, and Titan's 3 previous voyages were cancelled over fears of structural fatigue. Owners OceanGate said the vessel, which features many homemade components such as hardware store washers, had been repaired since and was equipped with a sophisticated system to monitor for any problems in the hull. But if an issue had suddenly occurred deep underwater, it is doubtful the crew could have done anything in time to save themselves. Just such an incident occurred in 2017 when the Argentinian Navy submarine ARA San Juan went missing in the San Jorge Gulf. The wreck was only located a year later, scattered deep down on the seabed. It is not known exactly what caused the accident, but it is thought an electrical failure caused it to dive beyond its crush depth, causing an implosion, killing all 44 people on board. If that is what happened to the Titan, then the crew would have been killed instantly. Another possibility is a fire on board, perhaps.
Why is this such a big thing? Here's what a vacuum implosion looks like. So it's a big thing because rich people are very important. And this is rich people activity, okay? And they did that. They went on a submarine journey. I think it's like, what, 250,000 per head or something crazy like that. They went down into the depths, into the fucking Titanic to see what was going on down there, I guess. And ultimately, it was a disaster. It's like this kind of stuff is I guess entertaining and scary for people. Hold on. And his stepson is going bananas mode on Twitter. Yeah, I heard. I saw some of the stuff, but I don't really understand. I mean, there's like people that were also diving with them. You know what I mean? The viewport that lets passengers see outside the craft was only certified to work in depths of up to 1,300 meters. That is far less than would be necessary for trips to the Titanic, which is nearly 4,000 meters below the ocean's surface. If Hasan goes to Tokyo, it's okay. If a couple dudes just want to explore the remains of the Titanic, then it's a problem. I just don't understand how this wasn't something that they accounted for. This is what they do. Craziest part about this is the Titanic fandom. CBS News interviewed this lady a few years ago who cashed in her life savings to go down there. She even went through 3 canceled trips or some shit was commonplace. Scrub launches. That's wild. James Cameron did this trip 33 times. Yeah, James Cameron is like an experienced diver. An awesome TikTok about the situation.
With these billionaires in these fucking tubes, huh? We got a fucking billionaire or other rich people in a tube, a sealed tube, look because they want to see the Titanic. You can just fucking rent it on VHS. It's a 2-cassette VHS tape, my dude. These fucking billionaires got in a fucking tube to go look. They paid $250,000 each. $250,000. Some of you don't understand the concept of that amount of money. That is an okay house in Ohio. That's how much they just paid. They handed a guy, okay, and they got inside of a fucking tube. I cannot stress to you how they're like, it's a submarine. It's a submersible. It's a fucking tube. It's a sealed tube. It's riveted shut. You cannot open it from the inside. It has no windows. There is one button and there's a screen. You're not even looking at the Titanic with your own eyes. You're looking at a screen that has the camera pointed at the Titanic. And the guy running the company is so fucking dumb that he didn't even think to just fake going to the Titanic. You want to get $250,000,000? $250,000 from a billionaire. First thing, have a tube. Remember Elon? Remember Elon and his submarine idea to get those kids out of the cave in Thailand? You know, when he called the guy a pedo? That whole fucking thing? Elon's smart idea, by the way, tube. Jeff Bezos, we're gonna go to space. He built a tube. It's all tubes with these people. Every billionaire is obsessed with tubes. So if you want to rip off a billionaire, here's what you do. Hey man, we're gonna go to the Titanic. Oh, that's great. Hop in my tube. Ah, no, there's no windows, but you can watch the TV screen. Lower it down, like just under the water. And make sure it jiggles. Oh, run into some undersea turbulence.
Okay, normally I feel like he yells a lot. And, you know, his commentary is fine. But this video, or especially like this video, or especially the takes specifically revolving around the tube being lowered to a certain degree and then like faking it like you've actually gone down into the Titanic, I think is a great take. Like, why didn't they just lie?
We are inside the submersible Titan, which is a carbon fiber and titanium sub that can go to the depths of the Titanic.
Just fucking lie.
Turn the fucking screen on. Play the beginning of fucking Titanic. Pull it back up. And go, there you go. There you go, billionaire. You saw the fucking Titanic. And here's the thing about billionaires. Nobody fucking tells them no. Everybody says they're so fucking smart because billionaires just fucking drop money around them all day. The only time they care about the money when they're dropping fucking everywhere like idiots is when it goes to taxes to help us. So now they spend $250,000 fucking dollars to get into a fucking tube, and now we have to spend millions of dollars on our fucking navies of 2 nations to look for these goddamn idiots who just should have watched a VHS tape that was okay from a movie that is so old that fucking Leonardo DiCaprio wouldn't date it.
I want them to be found because I need to know if they succumb to cannibalism. I mean, they're dead. Like, it would be legitimately shocking if they were alive by the time they find it, if they even find it at all.
Hi, my name is Stockton Rush. I'm the CEO and founder of OceanGate. Let's take a look at Titan. So we're coming into the sub. This is...
My friend in Turkey just bought that controller a couple months back because it's cheap. That should say a lot of other safety protocols. Yeah, these motherfuckers were using like the cheapest Logitech controller they can. Like, I think using controllers of that sort is normal process for a lot of this shit. Which is, I guess, surprising, but hold on. But I don't know. I trust Logitech. The controller did not fail. Anyone blaming the controller is not a true gamer. True. But they're usually wired. They use the unwired. Yeah, Xbox controllers are pretty popular. They detected banging as of an hour ago. Maybe they brought AAA batteries with them instead of AA batteries. Why can't I watch the video? I mean, yeah, the search mission is still going. I mean, they're fucking billionaires. Of course it's still going. These are like the most untouchable people in society. You know what I mean? These are the people that are not supposed to die. right? These are the people that are not supposed to have these kinds of issues. I mean, if you're dropping 250 bills to go fucking down there and see the goddamn Titanic, and then, you know, this kind of shit happens, is a bit wild. So, Michael Guillen was the first correspondent to report live from the wreck of Titanic, but his recall of the vessel he was on nearly ended up trapped. Dr. Guillen was working as a science editor for America's ABC network. He told BBC4 Radio how they toured the bow where everything had gone well. So people have talked about their experiences here. Let's watch this like promotional video from this.
This is the only toilet available on a deep diving submersible. Best seat in the house. You can look out the viewport. We put a privacy screen in, turn up the music, and it's very popular. We have our control screen here, our sonar screen here, and we can put any image we want in the back. We've taken a completely new approach to the sub design, and it's all run with this game controller and these touch screens. So if you want to go forward, you press forward. If you want to go back, you go back. Turn left, turn right, go down, go up. And it's Bluetooth, so I can hand it to anybody. And it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around, and super durable. We keep a couple of spares on board just in case.
Well, I mean, okay, that's a bit crazy. Like, you watched that and you were like, this is my shit. Death by Joy-Con drift. I mean, this is crazy.
Our sonar screen here, and we can put any image we want in the back. We've taken a completely new approach to the sub design, and it's all run with this game controller and these touch screens. So if you want to go forward, you press forward. If you want to go back, you go back. Turn left, turn right, go down, go up. And it's Bluetooth, so I can hand it to anybody. And it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around, and super durable. We keep a couple of spares on board just in case. This is the second year we've been out to the Titanic. We went out in 5 8-day missions. We did about 10 dives to the wreck site of the Titanic, and we did an extra dive on an undiscovered reef that we found. Completely privately funded operation, and we're funded by, we call mission specialists, who help support the mission. So they take quite a bit of money to come and join us. Years ago, the Russians took tourists out to the Titanic, and it was just sort of a look and see thing. We really are focusing on the science around it.
So
we want to document what the wreck is like now, and also try to predict what it'll be like in the future. It's continuing to decay, and it seems to be accelerating. It's being eaten by a bacteria, so it's literally being eaten by the ocean. It's not rusting away. So these things that are called rusticles are actually the byproduct of a bacteria that eats the iron. And as it does that, these decks are collapsing. The promenade deck continues to collapse forward. We saw some of the railing is starting to lose its structural strength, which is really a sad thing. That's when it's going to stop looking like the Titanic.
Dude, how do you start a business where you're like, there's a market for this. There's a market for just like really wealthy people that have enough money to go down to the depths and, like, you know, go see the motherfucking Titanic. And it's like, it's enough. Like, you can make, like, you can make enough money doing this. I guess part of the reason why you can make enough money doing this is because, you know, you don't have the best safety protocols, right? But like, who even begins this process? Like, how do you begin the process of being like, here's what my business. The clip is from this video, by the way. Yeah, we're gonna watch the full clip. Hold on. There's also another side to this, obviously, because this isn't the first or last shipwreck that has happened this week. There are a lot of people who, there was another issue that occurred. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me finish this video.
The interest in the Titanic is the reason we go there, because people are willing to fund this kind of exploration and science, and that gives a completely different research component that almost nowhere else in the deep ocean can you get funding to go back every year for decades and see how coral reefs develop and see how metals decay and see how currents change. I mean, that just, you can't justify that. No government will pay for that. Nobody wants to go back to just some old reef, but people do want to go back to the Titanic. And that's why we go, is because people want to go.
Here.
Definitely heard about the missing small submersible that had a bunch of rich people inside, a billionaire, a Pakistani multimillionaire, the CEO, the Pakistani multimillionaire's son, and I think there was one, I think it's 5 guys, and the guy who was like piloting it. And look, it's been a huge thing on the internet about like people joking about it, including myself, but not even talking about that right now. Just something that I want to say about it, which is the following. It is not lost on me that people will pull out a scalpel to make the most razor-thin distinctions on what is acceptable to say about it, like how callous people are being or how they're joking about it, in regards to some of the richest people on the planet effectively killing themselves like morons, but will give absolutely no grace or will not pause when talking about the experiences and problems and troubles and struggles of people that live in poverty, right? Last week, and this is just an example, last week off of the Greek coast in the Mediterranean, there was a capsized ship with over 500, somewhere in the ballpark, 500, 700 refugees. The exact number is not known. Over 500 of them are presumed to have drowned, men, women, and children, from refugees from Palestine, from Egypt, from places in North Africa. Right? They are poor people at the very end of their rope with no other possibilities, who are just trying to survive. They want a better life for themselves and their families, and they have to risk it all. Could you tell me that happened? Was there a second of coverage on that, of over 500 people drowning, human beings? No. It has been...
Yeah, someone in the chat pointed this out, but it's a really good take. Same people that say homeless people are like drug-addled zombies completely fucking forget that, you know, rich people do drugs too, like all the fucking time, as a matter of fact. But when they're doing it from the comfort of their homes. You know, when they are addicted to drugs, it's not in your face. It's not as like, you know, it's not as disruptive, I guess. It's our perception of the matter. People immediately want to rush to be like, I have a principled stance on, you know, billionaires being spoken about like this, but they make no mention of atrocities that poor people face to get a better to get a better life for themselves, who are seeking a better future for themselves. Ultimately, I don't care about the fucking billionaire submarine situation. I didn't really cover it that much. I get why people are so callous and show indifference to life when it's when it's like a bunch of billionaires engaging in like the dumbest thing possible. You know what it reminds me of? This situation reminds me of a lot of people trying to tackle Mount Everest. Also a profoundly expensive endeavor. You have a Sherpa that basically holds your hand the entire fucking way, and yet people die all the goddamn time. And it's just like most people who are inexperienced, who are just going up there for a fucking photo. You know what I mean? Not talking about like experienced climbers who do this kind of thing. I'm talking about people who want to conquer the mountain. You know what I mean? Take a photo and basically showcase their accomplishments. you're just, I don't know, you're just fucking, like, it's hard to look at how awful the world is and look at your own personal circumstances and then look to profoundly wealthy, profoundly fortunate people and recognize their humanity when they are objectively taking risks that are ridiculous. Obviously, opportunities that are completely unaffordable and completely shut off to the average person who would never even imagine themselves in a situation like that. And that's where the lack of humanity comes from. That's where people have a hard time recognizing the humanity of like these profoundly wealthy individuals. Cardi B, Submarine, Suntae.
That's missing on the water from that submarine shit. One of the billionaires, their stepson, is at a concert, right? At a Blink-182 concert. And people is like, well, what is he supposed to do? Be sad at the house? Is he supposed to go look for himself? Yes. You're supposed to be at the house sad. You're supposed to be crying for me. You're supposed to be right next to the phone waiting to hear any updates about me. You're supposed to be counseling your mom and shit. Like, isn't it sad that you a whole billionaire and nobody gives a about you? Like you missing and motherfuckers ready to shake dicks at concert. That's crazy. I'd rather be broke. I'd rather be broke than like and poor, but knowing that I'm loved. Like, okay, so
there's so much going on here with this Attack on Titan filter. Like what the fuck is happening? Why is the Attack on Titan filter cupping her titty? What's happening? You know what I mean? Anyway, all right, let's watch the full one. The full documentary on the fucking the billionaire sub. A visit to RMS Titanic.
It's hard to refuse. Our David Pogue was invited recently to join the highly select and very small group of people who've actually made it to the bottom of the Atlantic to view firsthand the eerie remains of the Titanic. It promised to be quite a journey, quite a story besides.
Maybe you've heard the story of the Titanic.
Iceberg, right ahead!
I think there was a movie about it.
Come on, give me your hand!
For the most part, the only people who've ever seen the Titanic since that night have been scientists. Until now.
It's a very unusual business. It's its own category. It's a new type of travel.
Stockton Rush is the CEO of OceanGate, a company that offers dives to the Titanic in a one-of-a-kind carbon fiber submersible for $250,000 per person.
Who are the typical clientele for these missions?
We have clients that are Titanic enthusiasts, which we refer to as Titaniacs. We have people who have mortgaged their home to come and do the trip. And we have people who don't think twice about a trip of this cost. We had one gentleman who had won the lottery.
And this summer, Rush invited us to come along. We departed from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, the easternmost tip of North America, about 400 miles from the Titanic.
That's the last we'll be seeing of land for 8 days.
Aboard a chartered oil rig servicing ship. During our 2-day journey into the North Atlantic, we got to know our fellow adventurers. They included everyone from Indian industry mogul Shrenik Baldota.
Yeah, they call me a wild monk.
The wild monk?
Yeah, because I look like a monk. I'm very calm, but I have these extreme interests.
To bank executive Renata Rojas.
I'm trying to fulfill a dream. I've been wanting to go to Titanic and see it with my own eyes since before they found it.
She's been saving up to see the Titanic for 30 years.
Dreams don't have a price. Some people want a Ferrari, some people buy a house. I wanted to go to Titanic.
But the star of the show is the Titan.
Dude, I will never understand it. I usually take a don't yuck other people's yum kind of approach to situations like this, but this is just so wildly dangerous too. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know. I'm not like a big explorer dude. So it's extra hard for me to look at a situation like this and be like, yeah, that's fine. It's valid.
Stockton Rush's custom-built submersible. 5-inch thick carbon fiber capped on each end by a dome of titanium. If all went well, I myself would be spending about 12 hours sealed inside on a dive to the Titanic. Not gonna lie, I was a little nervous.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
Oh, take your shoes off. That's customary.
Okay. Wow.
Inside, the sub has about as much room as a minivan.
So this is not your grandfather's submersible. We only have one button. That's it. It should be like an elevator. You know, it shouldn't take a lot of skill.
The Titan is the only 5-person sub in the world that can reach Titanic depths, 2.4 miles below the sea. It's also the only one with a toilet, sort of. And yet, I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on! It seems like this submersible has some elements of MacGyver-y jerry-rigness. I mean, you're putting construction pipes as ballast.
I don't know if I'd use that description of it, but there's certain things that you want to be buttoned down. So the pressure vessel is not MacGyver at all, because that's where we work with Boeing and NASA and the University of Washington. Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still gonna be safe.
Your controller can drift, you know? Wonder what happens when that happens, you know? Think about that.
But when expedition manager Kyle Bingham studied the forecast for our Titanic dive, he concluded that the waves would be too big to launch the sub.
We're looking at 6 feet.
Only bad things happen in the ocean. Yeah, surfing is cool, but you're taking your life into your hands every time you paddle out. Yeah, but like, there's a difference between a hobby, a sport, an activity, and the understandable risk that you're taking on when you engage in such an endeavor versus something like this. There's always a cost-benefit analysis where you have to look at a situation and assume risks, understandable risks, and weigh them against the benefits of engaging in said action. And there's obviously a difference between, like, someone said, oh, well, you know, you love going to Japan. You know, these guys want to go to the Titanic. Titanic is kind of like, you know, their Japan. That's what someone said in the chat. It's like, yeah, there's a risk when you fly, I guess. But it's, you know, it's infinitely smaller than hypocrite. Yeah, I'm a hypocrite. I travel to Japan. These guys travel to the Titanic. It's also not $250,000 to travel to Japan. So there's that too. I feel the same way about these people trapped as I would anyone croaking on Everest or someone blowing up on a tourist space flight. You took the risk. Exactly. It's hard. It's hard for me to sit here and act like I give a shit about this. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get myself to care. I know that there was like a normie there too, right? Them traveling to the Titanic is probably you traveling to the grocery store in terms of money spent. Yeah, that too, for sure.
And then it bumps up a little bit.
Our Titanic adventure would have to wait. But Stockton Rush offered our CBS crew a consolation dive to the continental shelf 80 miles away.
Apparently there's a lot of sheer cliffs underwater to see, shark breeding ground. They say it's really cool.
The crew closes the hatch from the outside with 17 bolts. There's no other way out. Here's how the launch is supposed to go. The sub is attached to a huge floating platform. Motorboats drag it down the big orange ramp into the sea.
We're in the water, we're floating.
Woo! They are going to come and prepare the platform for the next phase, which is the sinking.
The platform submerges to around 30 feet, where the water is much calmer than on the surface.
You're in the water, people.
Divers detach the sub from the platform, and away you go, in theory.
Hull integrity, holding.
And what happened next? You won't be disappointed, as we'll show you a little later on Sunday morning. Our dive in the OceanGate submersible had made it down only 37 feet when this happened.
So apparently those floats there came off the platform, and that wasn't supposed to happen. So we're scrubbing?
Yeah, I think that's the consensus up here.
Copy that.
I was crushed. My diving adventures were over.
Every expedition has its challenges, all of them. I have not been in one expedition where things have to be adjusted, adapted, changed, or canceled at the end of the day. You're at the mercy of the weather.
Renata Rojas speaks from painful experience. Over the years, she's been booked on 3 Titanic expeditions. All 3 were canceled.
You just cry a lot and just keep the dream alive, because it's something that I have to do.
Our expedition had to wait out 2 more days of rough seas. Fortunately, there's a lot to do in the North Atlantic.
I'm the king of this! I'm not gonna lie, this is making it so much harder for me to feel bad. It's just like, the more I see people that are like this attached to seeing a fucking inanimate object that is like dead by even inanimate object measurements, you know what I mean? That's the funniest part. Like, you know how motherfuckers like I gotta stop cursing so much. You know how people fall in love with roller coasters and whatnot? At least the roller coaster is like an inanimate object but alive. The Titanic is like even dead by inanimate object standards. You know what I mean? It's just like you're there to see the corpse of an inanimate object. OceanGate CEO challenging the very concept of safety in a CBS interview.
There's a limit. You know, at some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything. At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules. There's a limit.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. That's...
You know, at some point...
This guy seemingly has some great ideas. This is what I want to hear from my $250,000 Titanic experience owner. Okay? This is what I like to hear. Socialist, by the way, any comment on this? You socialist? What is this? Twitch streamer Hasanabi plays the 2,000. Guys, I don't know what the fuck Ostenox is doing, but like, let's not engage in this right now, please. What the fuck? I don't know how this is gonna turn against me in some way. I don't want to even touch that right now. I'm already getting fucking ass blasted by every Tom, Dick, and Harry online. This trending tab with my name on it keeps going up. His quote tweet is even worse. Twitch streamer Hasanabi has placed a $200,000 bet that the Titanic submarine passengers will be rescued. I don't think billionaires should exist, but I'd never wish for someone to die. We must be kind to each other. If they're rescued, I will donate the money to orphanages. Like, I don't know what he's doing. Is he just like bored? Yeah, I thought we were doing a PR year. What happened? Bro, you've been trending for the past 5 days, man. Yeah, I know. I've been trending. I know. Trust me. I see it.
Surface vessel!
There's sea life, ship tours, atmospheric effects, and that, my friends, is called a fog bow. You can also hang out with scientists. Researchers like deep-sea biologist Steve Ross and ocean archaeologist Rob Mather join every expedition. In effect, the passengers are funding their science.
How scientific is this expedition?
I don't do show science. So our job is to do real and important and valid work.
While you're down there, will you look for this giant heart-shaped diamond on a chain?
I think that's not there.
On our 6th day at sea, the weather cleared. The dive was a go.
Titan sitting at 3742 meters, reports on bottom.
But that was the last of the good news.
And I said, do you know where we are? 100 meters to the bow, then 470 to the bow. If you are lost, so are we.
There's no GPS underwater, so the surface ship is supposed to guide the sub to the shipwreck by sending text messages.
Turn 30 degrees right?
Probably, yeah, 30 degrees.
But on this dive, communications somehow broke down. The sub never found the wreck.
We were lost. We were lost for 2.5 hours.
Rush.
Bro, there are 1 million red flags. Like, every part of this story is almost completely and utterly filled to the brim with red flags. Like, this literally was like, hey, guys, I've built a contraption. It costs $250,000, and you maybe get to see through a monitor something that you find to be cool, whatever it is that you like. There's also a 93% chance that while you're in the contraption, a nail will hit you directly in the fucking dome on your temple, and you will die a gruesome and horrifying death. Who's like, oh, sign me up. I love that. I love looking at like a random thing through this tiny monitor. Do you know, have you been following this at all? Probably not, right? Because we've been doing things, so I haven't had a chance to follow it. But I don't think you're on the right train of thought with your takes about adventure. Like, I don't know about the build quality. I don't know about what the physical like submarine device submersible looks like. But like seeking adventure is a good thing. You don't leave your house, so you wouldn't get it. I already talked about the risk reward assessment. I recognize my own personal shortcomings, I guess, in that regard. But the risk reward in this circumstance doesn't make sense. Like, it's easy to just say you don't leave your house, so what the fuck do you know? But I wouldn't have this kind of take on, like, for example, someone in the chat said surfing is very dangerous. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's
motorcycles are dangerous.
Yeah, motorcycles are dangerous, but I don't think that that's like I would never make the argument that like if someone died while they're surfing that it was like, oh yeah, well you fucked around and you found out. I would never do it. I'm scared of the ocean. But if a shark attacked you and killed you while you were, swimming in I guess dangerous waters, I still would think that you knew the risks, you assumed the risks, but it's still a perfectly valid thing that a lot of people engage in, and the risks are relatively low, whereas like the rewards are understandable. This is a situation where the risks are incredibly high and the rewards are almost nothing.
No, the rewards are really high too. You get to be one of the few people. Like, so I don't know much about it, and my takes might be wrong, but one of the guys was on one of the Jeff Bezos Blue Origin like things, right? So you get to be one of the very few people in the world that have done this, and that alone, I mean, I don't want to just call it bragging rights, but like that alone is worth a lot to a lot of people. Not to you, I totally get it, but like the sense of adventure, the sense of like being able to go somewhere or see something that no other person can do in a world that's quickly becoming accessible to everyone to go see, use however they wish. Like, I get that. That's it's a bad comparison, but like that's why I like off-roading, right?
Have you
get to go on top of a mountain. That's awesome. Now you get to go to the bottom of the ocean. That's sick.
This in and of itself makes it ridiculous.
So this reminds me of like experimental aircraft, where like if you want, you can go build an airplane in your backyard, right? But you also can't put other people in it. without having the proper like regulations in place. So obviously the ocean is not regulated in the same way. But
I made a comparison to Mount Everest, which has like become it's like slowly but surely getting destroyed right now because wealthy people have turned it into a relatively accessible form of posturing and claiming that this is an accolade, this is an accomplishment that you did. It's like
I mean,
you're being fucking handheld and carried by a Sherpa for the most part, but like ultimately it's just for like a photo and to say that you did it. And
it's more than that. I give them the benefit of the doubt.
It's bragging rights. You just said it's bragging rights.
Yeah, I know, but it's more than that. It's an experience that you get to do, right? It's no different than like some crazy, Tokyo thing that we could do where you get to like eat pufferfish or something, right? It's just more extreme and more awesome and bigger.
Okay, but the issue is you do a risk-reward assessment. Everyone obviously has a different one, but there are certain edge cases that fucking make sense. Like, you signed up for something that you know has an incredibly high likelihood of failure. Especially because...
I would call it incredibly high.
No, it is. You're absolutely wrong on.
It's definitely higher, like substantially higher, but like it's not like, 1 out of 2 people were going to die.
Look at the situation.
Okay.
David Pogue. Remember my voyage to the Titanic last summer? In OceanGate's homemade carbon fiber sub, they took passengers out again this summer, but as of today, the sub is lost. Do submersibles have something similar to an AirCAF's emergency locator transmitter that can be detected by searchers? This submersible does not have any kind of beacon like that. On my expedition last summer, they did indeed get lost for about 5 hours, and adding such a beacon was discussed.
Dude, you're making an argument for regulation.
Yeah, no shit. Like, to be clear, I was not on the sub that day. I was on the ship at the surface in the control room. They could still send short text to the sub, but did not know where it was. It was quiet and very tense, and they shut off the ship's internet to prevent us from tweeting. Nice. Is there a reason that detail didn't make it in the show? Yes. The company gave us a different rationale for shutting off the internet, that this could be an emergency and that they needed all channels open, and we had no idea how to confirm whether or not that was true.
So the one thing to keep in mind is when you're at the cutting edge of doing something, and this is, right, they're developing this new technology, this new vehicle, this new like service, whatever it is, a lot of the stuff that you're used to isn't in place. Like, for example, with airplanes, back in like the early 20th century, they didn't have like TCAS, traffic collision avoidance system, or they didn't have like GPS. They didn't have like ways to track airplanes, see where there was. They literally had paper maps that they would like fly visually and like okay, there's the river, there's the mountain, turn right here.
Yeah,
right?
but so no. But this is akin to a gyrocopter in times of modern flight, because like it's DIY, it's designed like a fucking tin can. It's like something that you would make in your backyard, and there's literally.
It's funny, I have built a submersible before.
Okay, well there's literally fucking extra components that they could have put in, which clearly and demonstrably have had an issue. If one more person says move the mic closer to fucking Murat, I'm literally ending the stream permanently today. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Shut up. This is what we have. This is what we're working with. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, back to what you were saying. The point I was trying to make is those technologies don't exist. Like, yeah, sure, some crazy Navy submarine somewhere might have some crazy communication system, right? Sure, but that might not be available to the public. That might not be available to these guys at this level. So, I mean, I assume communicating underwater is really difficult, right? Your communication is traveling through a different medium. Like, instead of air or space, it's going through water. So, like, radio waves don't transmit the same way. They're probably doing text
because they're saying that the ETL like tracking software, which 100% exists, like that's crazy that you're saying, you're making it seem like this is an impossible task, is like around $900 or some shit, which is...
And it works through 2 miles of water?
I don't know what the distance is, but there are literal, like, we have submarine technology.
Sure.
Right
I'm not saying they didn't do their they did their due diligence.
They
didn't exist. That's not the argument I'm making. I'm just saying it's hard when you're at the front edge. That's it. I'm not arguing in favor of these guys.
Yeah, but that's the reason why I explained it like. That's the reason why I'm explaining it to you like this. It's like building a gyrocopter in your fucking backyard and putting people on it and then taking it to altitudes that you know they can't fly at and selling that experience, and dumb motherfuckers being like, I know it's so dumb to do this, but I love the fucking thrill, the adventure, okay? And you're doing that at a time when like there are modern tools that would make it much easier to deal with certain redundancies, certain situations that could break down. They didn't fucking do the upgrades. And it clearly failed multiple times, which is why I find it really fucking stupid. They have a blog post with the same points Murat is saying. Most major marine operators require chartered vessels that are classified in independent groups such as the American Bureau of Shipping or one of the many others. The groups are assembled very detailed standards of classing everything from oil tankers to auxiliary ships and stuff. Classing assures, yeah, these guys, bro, these...
I don't know what you're saying.
I mean, they didn't have any of the fucking standards. They were basically, they built a tin can.
They were YOLOing it for sure.
Yeah.
That's a risk that people are taking, right? I don't want to argue in like for, you know, the free market or whatever, but when you're doing something that's not normal, it's on you to figure out if that's a smart idea or not.
Yeah, the fucking dude 100% just did not do the necessary things you need to do to be able...
I'm not talking about the owner of the company. I mean, I don't know the particulars, but I'm sure there was more they could have done, right? In hindsight, there's lots you can do. But I was actually talking about the people who are going on the voyage. And funny enough,
I'm also calling Jake right now.
Yeah. Funny enough, one of the biggest drivers here, I'm surprised that no one's talking about, is insurance companies. Like life insurance for the millionaire, whatever, billionaires that are on the boat. The insurance company for that, for the company. That's kind of a big driver usually for adding these redundancies and systems in.
These guys are 100% criminal, and they will probably get punished because they killed a bunch of billionaires, for the record.
The OceanGate people?
Yeah. Former OceanGate employee was fired after raising concerns for sub's worthiness to descend to extreme depths and refusing the green light man tests of early models. He was director of marine operations and responsible for safety of all crew and clients. Wait, hold on. Oh, Jake is calling me. Moshi Moshi, I'm live.
Ohio.
Hello? What the Bro, you... Oh, it's working. Where are you?
Naked.
Oh, you're naked.
Okay, so put it on camera. Got it.
We're FaceTiming. We're live. I'm live streaming currently.
I'm gonna take a shower. Shower stream?
Okay. Which one of the experiences that you designed should we be doing today together? And what's your ETA? And we can always like waste time fucking around, but it seemingly is not raining as of now. Yeah. It's overcast. It might start raining at 1 p.m. 40%, 2 p.m. 60%, 3 p.m. 70%, but by that point we might, move on to an indoor proportion. That's fine. That seems great. If you move fast, we can do it. It's okay.
Okay, and the indoor portion, you got that stuff?
Yeah, the main cafe we can't go until 5 though. That's what they said. So I don't know. I might just like vlog it or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We can figure something else out.
Okay. Let me just. I had a call with American Immigration at 8 a.m. So I had to go. I felt like asleep. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So we're gonna link up in like as quickly as possible, right? Like you're.
Yes, I'm gonna take a shower. I'll take a taxi over there. I'll just go to your spot.
No. Let's just meet up at whatever destination we're supposed to be going to because I want to start the IRL stream. Where can we link up, like in a public area?
We can go directly to their house.
Okay, just text me the address. Is it far? Or is it in Tokyo?
It's in Tokyo. It's in Tokyo.
Oh, okay, good. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
So there's one comment that just came by that I think is a really good point. And it said the CEO's on the fucking sub, right? The guy obviously thought it was safe.
No, he literally said safety is bullshit.
Well, no, but he thought that the risk was not substantial enough for him to not do it.
I think he's
unless he's suicidal, like that's it. That's the only logic out there.
Yeah, I think he's a fucking idiot. And I think he got so horny for, like, he literally said safety is a waste, dude. I think
There's
he was
a
a
limit.
fucking
You know,
idiot.
at some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed. Don't get in your car. Don't do anything. At some point, you're
He's
going to
trying
take
to
some
be
risk.
edgy,
And it
like-
really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules.
Yeah, I want to make sure that the point he's trying to get across and the actual, like, literal interpretation of what he's saying are, like, not as understood that it's not directly the same thing, right? He's talking about safety regulations and how they can be cumbersome. He's wrong, obviously, right? But he's not saying let's just fucking sit on a bunch of TNT, light it on fire, see what happens. Like, safety doesn't matter. He's saying that, like, the irony is he was wrong.
No, the irony is not only that he was wrong at the top of the hour and he got caught without a subscription.
Oh, that's what
okay.
it is.
So if you no longer, like, you take a risk, you can see a fucking ad break at the top of the hour, you know that that's going to happen. Of course, it's going to happen if you are unsubscribed. So don't get caught with your dick in your hand, you know what I mean? And subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime so that you can avoid the top of the hour ad breaks. Now, having said that, the irony here is that this motherfucker builds spaceships. So while he's over here talking about corner cutting and how you can just, like, I don't know.
I'm not saying you should.
I mean, I know, but, like, you're coming across like you're defending this dude who is, like, very
No,
clearly...
I'm trying to help interpret the situation. I don't agree with what he did. I think it's wrong.
No shit. You fucking murder people, dude. What the fuck? Anyway. Okay. It's all tubes. It is. Check the eye to the thing tweet. Dude, I'm so tired. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I mean, I do know what's going on.
It's sleep deprivation.
It is sleep deprivation.
Says he'll offer those passengers a free do-over next year. And that's just one cost of doing this business.
David Pogue?
Are you making money on this operation?
No. So, not yet. People might say, hey, that's a lot of money, $250,000. But we went through over $1 million of gas.
It was our last day at sea. There was one last chance to reach the Titanic. And this time, good weather and good fortune were aligned.
Slow down, it's just in front of us. Just we are in front of the anchor.
Oh my gosh, here's the bow,
do it
guys.
again, yeah.
You guys see it?
Look at that though, how it just kind of emerges out.
Now, Titanic tourism has its detractors, but these expeditions don't disturb the wreck or retrieve artifacts. And Stockton Rush says,
Bro, I cannot begin to tell you how fucking stupid all of this looks to me. I know.
You obviously don't get it.
I'm admitting that I'm, like, not the clientele for this kind of thing. Okay, I'm not.
Like that footage that we saw, obviously disregarding what happened, right? Because that was when this was made, they didn't know about it at that time. Is, like, incredibly moving.
Dude, you're such an adventure junkie that I think, like, you understand the principle behind. I feel like you understand the principle behind why people take risks for, I don't know, rewards that others would consider to be not worthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is, like, you can still think outside of that. Like, you're operating on the principle of the matter, but for some reason, you're not seeing that, like, there could be situations that are just unnecessarily risky for the reward that is, like, profoundly limited.
I get it. You're not an adventurer.
Bro, this is like, dude, I think this is literally the Everest situation. Bro, the Titanic literally sucks. It's the most overstudied shipwreck of all time. It's fucking pointless. It is a gravesite now. We should be studying sunken Spanish treasure boats.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds way cooler.
I wasn't talking about particularly the Titanic, just like going to a place that we are not supposed to be and, you know, seeing something in its as nature takes over.
Also, this is like a horrible argument. Do you think traveling to space is worth the risk? I'm not comparing. First of all, I don't have.
But it's a great point, by the way.
I don't. No, it's not, because it
is.
I don't have an issue with motherfucking scientists and astronauts going to space. They're not going to space to fucking finger blast themselves on the ISS. They're going to space for research purposes. Okay, and once that research trickles down, I guess, to like ease of access for the mega wealthy, inevitably that will open up more opportunities. Right now, the cutting edge explorers that want to put their money where their mouth is to explore uncharted territories in space travel in a commercial way for no research purposes whatsoever, if they fucking die, that's an L. That's a major L.
No one's arguing this isn't an L. This is
like
a very sad
and even
tragic
then,
situation.
And even then, like Blue Origin, SpaceX, all these fucking companies, even then they have they have to abide by incredibly strict standards, even if they are at the cutting edge of technological innovation. This guy wasn't at the cutting edge of technological innovation. He built a concept.
He was in some and not in many others.
Dude, no, he wasn't. We have submarines. We have nuclear submarines. We have so many different kinds of fucking depth exploration tools, and it blows my fucking mind that regardless of the fact that we have all those depth exploration tools and redundancies and fail-safes that you could have implemented, like subscribing at the top of the hour, which I forgot to run the 3-minute ad break right now, by the way, I'm going to run it now, that this guy didn't
I know about the Logitech controller.
Like, here's what's really fucked up.
Or Logicool.
Here's what's really fucked up about this process and why this guy is, like, extremely at fault. The company's extremely at fault. Okay? Everybody understands that you're assuming some level of risk when you engage in activities like this. It's kind of similar to, like, getting on a fucking flight, right? It's oh my God, 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 oh my God. I'm just audio pedophiles are a fucking just mark, a stain on this community. Is Will still sleeping?
No, I mean, he might have gone back to bed. But...
He probably is.
Yeah. Dude, I just want to do like a series of videos of you throughout history, and they're like doing the first flight, and you're like, no, I gotta sit here. I gotta sit at home, guys. It's too much risk.
I won million.
They're like, we're
gonna
do
the first flight.
We're gonna like hunter-gatherer tribe, and we're like, all right, we gotta go explore. They're like, no, it's cool. We just gotta sit down and stream at home. Or like they're gonna go. Yeah, they're gonna go on a voyage to like explore. Lewis and Clark are about to depart, and you're like, no,
dude,
guys, it's too much risk. It's too much risk. Don't do it,
dude. You're quite literally describing the most obvious thing. Yes, I would not.
But you're not on the submarine. You're saying why would somebody go on the submarine? Those are the guys who go on the submarine.
I don't know if you're being purposely obtuse or like you're so horny for adventure that you're like no matter how fucking idiotic it is, like I'm on board. It's like bungee jumping exists and it's like relatively safe, and now you're going with a company that's like telling you, yeah, this is a new type of bungee jumping where there's no fucking rope.
The technology
or the rope might snap at any given moment.
The technology exists. This application is new. That's the difference.
I'm losing my mind. It's not even true. You're not right. There are commercial submersibles, from what I understand,
that go to that depth.
Bro, James Cameron and research vessels have gone down there 1 million fucking times.
For $250K a person?
What?
Look, let's Google how much that expedition cost.
What does that have to do with anything?
So, like,
just slapping on a fucking price tag doesn't make it all of a sudden.
No, it has nothing to do with. Well, it does have a lot to do with
different
price tag.
and new.
The point is accessibility. The point is this, like, technology industry, whatever, developing this becoming a thing that people do. Right? They spent the first space tourist was like done way longer ago. They just happened to catch a ride on a government program, versus the new space tourism industry that's developing. Similar to this, yeah, like James Cameron and the expeditions that you're talking about existed, sure, but it's not the same as this. It's it's very comparable to like catching a ride on the space shuttle and going to the ISS and be like, all right, space tourists. We did it, guys. It exists. To like Blue Origin and SpaceX's new mission.
Earlier, you made a really bad comparison, by the way, which was when you fucking said like the first, I don't know, the first like flight or whatever. That is not a commercialized entity.
No, okay. The reference I was making there is in the early 20th century, when like airplanes were starting to go into commercial use, there was a lot of like mail carriers, and then I believe they started selling tickets on some of those flights for passengers as well. So that's like the technology's new. They're like starting to pull people in.
I also, for the record, do think that space tourism is fucking stupid. I think space tourism is stupid.
It's not the most it's not the most efficient way to benefit space like development, right? But it is a good thing. It increases the numbers. It increases the number of applications. It increases the availability of that technology. It's like the semiconductors, right? The more we build them, the better we get at building them.
Every time we're putting fucking Jeff Bezos up there or some other dickhead up there, we could have been sending scientists up there. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, that would be great. Let's send all the scientists to space, but like that's not happening.
Especially at its infancy, like right now, this is an important time for maximizing on the research purposes.
More than 25 meters.
Oh, fantastic.
Stockton Rush plans to return to the wreck this coming.
What? Yeah, back in 2001, an American couple made history when they wed in a submersible amid the Titanic wreckage. They won a contest held by a fledgling diving company and used one of the submersibles used during the filming of the 1997 Hollywood movie. What the fuck? It cost $36,000? Wait, what?
Okay.
That's different. It was already built. Bro.
I mean, but that actually, that's a super great counterpoint to me, right? Because like I said, I don't know much about this industry, but it sounds like they had a better way of doing it.
Bro, I literally told you that there were built submersibles that have gone down there multiple fucking times. Okay? That's why it's costing taxpayer money to try and find them. Oh yeah, 100%.
These dudes got attacked by orcas.
Yeah.